Anyway, hey friends,
Hey y'all,
it's just Britt.
it's T, aka the Charlie.
Yes, and today's podcast is going to be about toxic, um, toxic behaviors, and this could be like friendships, or it could be relationships, it could be, in general. It doesn't matter.
It's just
It all
toxic
kind of works.
relationships.
If you
Um,
if you're toxic, you're toxic.
or if you have toxic
Well, I
traits
guess
or
it's
behaviors,
if you have toxic behavior,
all
because I
the
feel like
same.
most of us all have something. It is a
Right.
matter of like how extreme it is, or like
hmm
if you're willing
Some
to.
people just don't like to acknowledge when
I
they
was
need
gonna say if
shit.
you have like accountability issues,
Mm-hmm.
which we know people who have accountability issues in life and how that can be.
Sure hope that wasn't a shade that was sent towards me, but
No,
okay.
no. Why would the shade be towards you? What the fuck?
Nothing you
What did we talk
care.
about before we did this? Before we decided to do the
I
podcast?
know. I'm just fucking with
Oh,
you. It's
that's,
easy to fuck with you, so.
I am easy to fuck with. That is 100% true.
Oh,
Um,
sensitive ass Sally.
yes. Anywho, um, T, I'm gonna let you start because every time you start, it's better. Like, cause me,
You definitely started some things before and it went well. So don't ever discredit yourself. You can try it with somebody else. But so yes, like noticing certain things that um obvious red flags, right?
mm-hmm.
Not all red flags present themselves in the beginning. Um, yes, I'm sorry.
Yes. Oh, sorry. I don't know what you were saying there.
I was typing something,
Okay,
but
because this is
no, not
horrible.
all red flags present themselves as a red flag in the beginning.
Right.
Something that could be a red flag could be something that you actually find like intriguing or interesting, but it's actually like that warning sign that actually tells you that you really shouldn't rock with a person a certain way. Um,
Right. The little voice in your
Sometimes,
head.
like I like to argue.
Yeah,
Is
me too.
that like that's a toxic trait of mine? I like to argue. I also like to be right all the time. It's a flaw of mine. Am I working on it? Hell no. But I can acknowledge it's something that I do. I can acknowledge it's something that people don't like.
Right.
Um, but then if it's something that you're attracted to, like there are people who are weird who that like to argue, like to fight, that like drama. Um, those are like red flags and stuff.
I
Um,
like to fight, but I like to make up. So sometimes I like to like
I also
have to
think
start shit and
charming
stuff.
people can be like the charming characteristic that some people have can be a red flag because while being charming is sweet and all, sometimes people use their charming characteristic traits to manipulate people. Um,
Exactly.
and that's probably one of the worst ones, because the person's charming, they get you all the time with like that sweet talk and um, sometimes like they might be like really handsome or really pretty. So then like their looks are like drawing you in to do things you don't want to do, to behave in manners you don't want to behave, to let down walls you're not ready to let down. And that to me is a big, bad red flag. But it's hard to see that because you can't see it in the beginning. You don't see it until after other things have happened to make you say, "Oh, dang, this person is just, yeah."
Right.
So yes, feel free to tag in. Ooh,
Yes. No, I definitely get that.
thank you.
Another one I would like to say, other than like manipulation and everything. Well, actually, to chime in on that, the emotional manipulation as well. Like, they
Mm-hmm.
sound like the charming and all that, but emotional manipulation is a thing as well. Um, Actually, what's funny? I actually went online. Not funny, but interesting. I was looking at a better way for me to explain when I was talking about the emotional manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, basically, someone that's trying to like use a situation and make it kind of bigger than what it is, just to make you feel guilty. or discredit the current situation because of your focus part moves to their emotions and all that stuff, and it just takes away from the whole argument or the whatever situation is at hand, which is messed up. Or like when they use like the silent treatment, that's emotional manipulation as well, which I hate the whole silent treatment situation.
It's childish.
It is very childish. Like I get everyone needs their space. If you need time to process, cool. But when you're intentionally disappearing on people for hours to whatever the case may be, to get a reaction out of that person or to make that person feel bad or whatever the case may be, that's really fucked up. But as I was like thinking about that, I went online real fast to look up how many types of manipulation there is, and there was like there's 4 types. But they were using talking about tactics such as gaslighting, lying, blaming, criticizing, and shaming, which are all toxic behaviors as well in relationships. Which I've been a victim of all of that. Like looking at it.
I didn't know there was that many types of manipulation. I just thought a manipulator was a manipulator. I didn't even know that they categorized it. So that's quite interesting. And
right, because it's what the outcome is. Like the person trying to pry on your emotions. Are they trying to pry money out of you? Like there's so many different ways that you can manipulate a person, like with your intentions.
Right. I got it. So say I always complain about not having any money to somebody who has money who I know will give it, but instead of asking, I'm like, oh dang, I'm just really, I can't do this. I'm so stressed because I need this money. Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know about that, huh?
I know somebody to do it, and it worked for them. It don't work for me, but I know who it works for. Wish I had them skills.
Or at least
also, I don't feel like begging either. That's too much like begging. But to each his own.
Definitely.
Is there such thing as a green one?
Yeah, there actually are green flags. But I was gonna say we should do a separate podcast for green flags because I actually just learned that was a thing.
Because I was gonna say we always talk about like the bad, and we don't talk about like the good things. Like I think like even like with media and anything like it's always the bad.
Right.
We don't. But also just be careful when starting something new in general with someone. Because like I said, sometimes red flags don't always present as a red flag, but could definitely be one. And yeah, I think that's it. I think I have some really nice, insightful stuff for like some new. I mean, like for like the green flags.
Yeah, but let's focus on the red flags because I feel like so that we can finish this podcast and jump into the green one.
Go ahead.
So I found a chart online that actually broke down like 10 signs. One we already talked about, manipulation. But it has intensity. So someone kind of basically like if you guys didn't hear or listen to our other podcast when it's about love bombing, that is up. So you guys can go look at listen to that about the love bombing and the breadcrumbing. Someone that comes in so intense. Now, I fell victim to this before in life, and I can say that it's not always noticeable because you don't realize it. You're in that moment, you're feeling good, you're happy, you're like, it's just coming at you so fast, everything's changing, and you don't even like really, really recognize like, hey, whoa, maybe this person's a little bit too intense about me. It depends on, kind of person you are. You might see that. Hold on, wait, what's going on over there? So the intensity of something can be a toxic behavior trait or not, though. Like it could also be like a green trait that we're going to talk about in the next podcast, because it could also be someone who knows what they want and they're sure about it, and things can go, last a long time. But it's just finding out, like, you really don't know till you know. I'm gonna be honest. But yeah, that's one. Possessiveness. Again, that could be tricky, and like you were saying, sometimes people like certain stuff. Like me personally, I'm not gonna say I like necessarily the possessiveness. However, I do like someone asserting their like who wants me to themselves in a healthy version of that, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Like
like somebody who
claiming me, like
wants you to themselves, but not to the point where they want to isolate you from your
your
loved
friends
ones.
and family, yeah,
Yeah,
or like life, and actually kind of make you feel emotionally manipulative when you don't, like all of that. That goes dark. So you, and again, you just don't know until you know.
oh, damn, that
Which,
sounds personal.
huh?
So that sounds personal.
No, yeah, I mean, I've had the experience in life before, so it's like you just don't know till you know. And then the isolation, which goes into that, and manipulation, of course, all that goes together. Um, and it says sabotage. Yeah, that right there is a big one. Um, someone that's willing to sabotage you for the okay. I'm
Yeah,
not gonna
that
say
sounds downright abusive.
yeah.
Like to sabotage somebody. Yeah.
Out of their anger and their emotions and all of that, like you let
Right,
your emotions hurt a person that you care about or in general, you get that in check. You're willing to hurt someone because of your emotions.
right.
Now, if that person did something to you and threatened your life, whatever case, or whatever happened, different. But sabotaging someone that you gonna want to talk to the next day is wild.
Yeah.
Um, there's belittling, belittling,
Belittling,
belittling,
belittling,
belittling. What the fuck is that? Okay, erase. There's belittling. That's it wrong again.
belittling.
Belittling. All right, that's abort. There's belittling. Fucking tongue tied ass who has not recovered. Um, putting someone down and stuff like that, which I've peeped that as well in certain situations that I'm like reflecting a little bit. Um, making you basically feel like nothing you do is good enough, or like if you used to show something off, they kind of dismiss it instead of giving a compliment. You're met with like some kind of mean insult
Criticism.
or
Yeah.
criticism. Yeah, something like that.
That's
That's
another thing. If somebody immediately criticizes you when you're doing something, good or bad, like I do think that's a red flag because you
definitely
can compliment someone without criticizing them.
right. You don't always have
Um,
to give that extra feedback. Like
yeah,
it's not
like,
required in certain situations. Say someone's showing off something that they did or whatever the case. Like,
right,
what do
yeah,
you get
like
out of that?
when somebody has on like where they felt good in what they
Mm-hmm.
had on, and they're like
What are
showing
you
it off,
wearing?
like, hey, you like this? This is a nice fit. Yeah, it's nice, but that's not your color. Like, why the fuck
Mm-hmm.
would you put that but in there?
Yeah, and like
Like,
not your color. That's wild.
so how does it look good on me, but it's not? You know what? Never mind. I don't
Right.
even want to know. Your unhelpful ass.
Yeah, that's wild to me. Um. So yeah, so that's one. Another one, and then guilting, which is wait, it says guilting. Is it the same as? I feel like that goes back into. Nope. Let's go look on Google real fast because the way it's spelled is throwing me off. So let me make sure I get the exact. Okay, no, it's literally that. I was saying, let me
It
make sure
is.
I'm not tripping. Yes, I just never seen it worded that way before. Um, so it's all the same with manipulation in a sense, make someone feel guilty for their behaviors or whatever the case.
Mm-hmm.
Um, deflecting responsibility. Ooh, the deflecting is for that's mm, so much I wanted to say here, but yes, that's a big one. That's a big one for us. Someone who doesn't take accountability or can talk about the current situation without trying to down a person. Like, say you bring some to someone's attention, like, "Hey, you made me feel like A, B, C, and D when you did this and
Mm-hmm.
there, or when you said this about me." That person takes it, deflects it, and switches it to make it about them or to take away from what you're bringing to the table as a problem.
Right.
Red flag. Like, because it's one thing to acknowledge the current situation and then move on to what they feel like and what they would like to bring about. You know what I mean? Like make it
Right.
a
Or they make
conversation.
it, or they take the opportunity to open the floor for things that they feel like that you did to them consistently.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. And then also it says betrayal on here. Someone who's willing to do like a not necessarily I want to say like a Like someone who would basically like either like cheat on you or do something grimy to you out of a tit for tat situation,
Yeah.
or in general, red flag. Like you're willing to go.
Yeah, that's
Um,
petty as hell too.
it is very petty
Like,
actually.
oh, never mind. I was about to use this.
I was about to use the example too. I had to stop myself as well because
Yeah,
never
girl. I
make
was
it
about to.
personal.
Whoo. I was like, oh no, let me
Yeah, I
stop.
was say I'm gonna save that for after to tell you what came in my mind, so you can share yours too. Um, but yeah,
Like, oh, I cheated on you, so you're gonna beat my ass after that? Like the fuck?
right.
Although that's actually very toxic
It
behavior.
is very
So
toxic. Also financial, which again goes to manipulation. As I'm thinking about, like all this shit goes back to the different versions of manipulation. Someone that would, um, let's see what this is. Someone holding something over your head, which again goes back to the other thing. So they kind of put similar things into, just use different words. But I like the little, like, all those examples right there. Like I like how they have it all written out for you and explained, um, so that you can see this, red flags and stuff like that. And again, I personally feel like everybody has a chance to like change some of these behaviors if you're willing to be accountable. Like
yeah, some
I
people
have,
also have to acknowledge that they even have them. You remember how like earlier in the video I was saying, one of mine is I think I'm always right. It's
mm-hmm,
a red flag. That's one of my red flags. It's something that I can acknowledge. And sometime in my life when I mature and I grow up, I'm gonna work on that.
right,
But not everybody's like me who can acknowledge their wrongdoing in a situation.
right. And you wouldn't gaslight someone who came to you and told you about that and be like,
Yeah.
hey, I feel like you think you're always right. You would be like, flip it or deflect or whatever. You
Nah, I
literally
wouldn't
be
flip
like,
it or
no, I
deflect.
know.
Yeah. Yeah, I would be like, I know I'm always right.
Right. Which just gives that other person that justification, like they're not tripping. Because then that's
Right.
another thing. You mess with someone's mind when that person is coming to you about something that they're observing or experiencing with you, and you deflect them or you like gaslight them and all that. Then you start fucking with their mental as well. Because then you got them questioning like, are they tripping? Are they wrong? But whole time you're that way. Like I don't understand. Like I can admit my red flags. I'm willing to work on it. I'm willing to you know, someone to I can take criticism if it's like in a healthy way, of course, and I reflect a lot. So I just feel like everyone has toxic signs, but if you're not willing to work towards that, to fix that, or to change it, or to acknowledge it, you're a problem. You're a ticking time bomb.
Definitely.
Yes, but yeah, that's what we just wanted to come on here about, and it just really blows my life. Like, all right, yeah, y'all. So thank y'all for listening. We just wanted to talk about some toxic traits that we learned about and or no experience or whatever the case like that to share with you guys. And always remember to trust your gut. If there's
Always.
anything that starts to rising up, anything that starts to like peak that alarm, like, hey, it's giving red flags or even yellow flags. You got to keep your eye on that situation to see if that's, how that person carries all their situations. So if that was an isolated situation,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like just keep your eyes open to that as much
Yeah.
as
Also
possible.
know that you and people, I mean, you yourself, as well as a person that you're dealing with in a relationship, friend relationship, or personal business, that toxic traits can develop. Like they
Yes,
might not even be there in the beginning, but they can also develop. And I think that's the thing that throws people off because people could be one way in the beginning and then like things develop because stuff happens within the relationship.
exactly.
There
Something can
might have
get
been,
triggered.
yeah, something could have been a trigger or, you know, something could happen. Like if
Yeah,
somebody had like a death in the family or something, it could trigger a red flag that they didn't have before, but now they have it because now they went from being a good communicator to being a bad communicator because now there's something happened. You know what I mean? So
right.
like, and when it comes to something that comes up later on, especially something like that, I would say that it's something to address and work with rather than to just dip because
Right.
when anything happens to anyone, you can never be too sure of how they're going to react. So sometimes you just have to be patient give them time to adjust and figure out a way to work with them.
If they're willing to work. That's
If
the
they're
thing.
willing to
That
work,
goes
yeah.
into it to tell you if that red flag is not doable.
Yeah.
Like,
and that's both parties too, to be honest with you.
exactly.
Because it takes two mature people to even want to work anything out. So if you can't handle it and you can't work with it, then you should leave. And
Definitely.
you know, if it
Or
was
it
meant
gets
to be,
worse, like dangerous.
yeah.
Like those situations can start building up and creating habits between the two people who they probably didn't even have before. And then it can get physical. It can get, you know, really emotionally damaging. It can go so many different places. Like you never know. Like things can go left really fast when it comes to humans and emotions. But I'm glad you also mentioned that they can come up, because also if you healed or you were in a process of healing from certain behaviors, something could trigger it back. And I'm going to use me for example, where I'm not giving too much, you know, details, but enough, where I had issues with blocking that I acknowledged that I thought I was cool off, until certain situations started triggering some stuff that I thought was cool. You know, I was good off, I guess I should say. Which created me to bring back that toxic behavior, that toxic, you know, cycle, block on block, block on block type situation.
Right.
So it's like, but then it's like, when you're out of that situation, you feel refreshed, you kind of reflect back on it like, damn, you know, that's not how I am in my real life with everybody. Just certain situations where it gets triggered, you know? So I just wanted to, I like that you said that part.
Now we can actually end the video.
Oh yes, in this podcast. Okay, guys. So stay tuned for our next podcast when we talk about green flags. Like T was mentioning, that most people focus on the red and not the green. So stay tuned, and yeah, we're out. Thanks for listening.
Audi 2003. 2023. Bye.
Okay, I was gonna say, girl.